So we were talking about coexistence, right? And I said we have some users, but we cannot afford all of the users to be up in the cloud, to move all of our users to 365. So in that case, we can preach coexistence. So where we move all the very important people to 365 and still keep some people on premises. So you see, in this scenario, we're still using the two. We have some users on-prem and we have some users in 365. So we can say, okay, instead of moving 500 users, how about we move 100 users? Okay, so that's like 1/4 of that amount. Okay, maybe that one, they might be able to have budget for that particular amount of users. So that example is called coexistence, right? So I believe you know the difference now between migration and coexistence. So coexistence, hybrid, cross premises, that's another name people use for it. And when you're doing migration, is either you're doing it in batches, you are staging it, or you are doing a total cut over. Perfect. Okay, so this is what I've explained, but just in case, let me also go through this again. Migration option. You see, when you have Exchange, because there are different email solutions that you might be using. When the email solution your organization already has, is Exchange, then your option is either to do cutover, stage, or hybrid. Either you are staging it, that's you're doing migration. Migration there, you can either stage or you can cut over, right? Or you do hybrid. So that's the option for Exchange server. So how about if you have POP? You're doing POP where you just pull down your mails, like what's this solution called? Webmail. You host with one of these ISP and they give you access to emails. You do webmail. So if you configure Outlook, you can configure Outlook to connect, but Outlook will just pull down the mails so that you can access all of your emails from Outlook, right? So that's POP. There's IMAP too, which is another option. Or you're using some other third party. So it can either be POP or IMAP. So you see, when you're using POP, you do PST migration. And PST migration can be done using some third-party tools, right? When you're using IMAP, you can do IMAP migration or simple coexistence. You do coexistence when you do IMAP. You can do it, or you do IMAP migration. So those are the options. Then there's third party, is either IMAP or POP, POP3 or IMAP, right? Good. So these are the migration options. So I believe we understand the migration option before I proceed. Do we understand this?
Yeah, for my own side, I think I got it.
Okay, perfect. Everybody understand. Good. All right. Now, there are certain things we need to prepare for when you are doing cutover migration. When you are doing migration, part of your planning, part of the planning work that you need to do. One of them is your mailbox. Your mailbox, the one that you are using now. First, can you have access to them? Because you are tasked with the responsibility of migrating everybody's mail. So you need to know if you can access those mailbox, right? So that's one thing. Be sure that you have access to the mailboxes. 2, certificates. So if you are using certificates, what do you do with the certificate? How do you migrate those certificates to as well? So, you use certificate to protect your emails, to prevent people from spoofing your email, right? So certificates, you know how you're going to migrate your certificates if necessary. Permission. What set of permission do you want to give to people? Domain. You need to ask this question. How many domain controllers do you have? You know, if you have one, perfect. If you have multiple, then you ask, which of these our domain controller is our Exchange server going to be authoritative for? That is, our Exchange server, whether Exchange on-prem or Exchange online, in this case, Exchange online, is our Exchange online going to be responsible for sending email on behalf of and for receiving email for? So you need to identify that as well. Then the last one is unified messaging, UM. So you see, sometimes when people set up messaging system, they integrate it with UN, with unified messaging. Unified messaging gives you the ability to be able to do things like voice call. You know, I want to call people, so I don't want to use Glow or use Etisalat or use all these phone providers. When I'm having internet access, I can leverage on my internet access, call using the same internet that I have, right? So it's called VoIP, voice over IP, voice over internet protocol, right? So implementation, unified messaging, is an implementation of VoIP. So you can do things like call people using your IP protocol. You can chat people up, right? So you will notice that with those two as well, you can do a, people will have a voice message. Maybe you call people and the person you're calling is not on seat. So you will be asked to drop a voice note for those persons. So when you drop a voice note, how will the person receive it? You see, with email, you can integrate it with email such that the voice message will go to the person's email account. So the person can just connect to their email and then see what's going on. Oh, I have a voice note. Let me play my voice note from my email, from my Outlook. So that's possible as well. So you need to ask, do we already have that in place? If that's the case, then how do I migrate it to Office 365? If it's not migratable, if it's not possible to migrate it to 365, then how do we cater for that need if we migrate the mailboxes to 365? So those are the things that you need to take a look at. Yes? Is there a question? No question. Okay. All right. So I've talked about most of these things. I want you to dig more. Look at more details about these ones. IMAP migration. Look at the different IMAP migration scenarios. So these are things that you can look up on your own, so we can save time with this. I've talked about it, by the way, but so instead of wasting further time, I've told you about PST migration so that you can use third-party tool for PST migration. I'll just give an example. I'll give an assignment for this one for PST. So I want you to tell me. You share is an assignment. Please try to do it. Give an example of a name of a tool that you can use to do PST migration. The tool that you can use to do PST migration. So tell me the tool to make it easy for me, myself. So just put the tool before our next class, just post it on the group. So I will just need to flip through the group and see who did the assignment and who didn't do it. So it's easier for me that way, because if I say you should send me an email, I might not. So that way it's just easier. So look up what is the example of a tool that we can use to do PXT migration. So tell me the name of the tool by posting it in the group before our next class. Okay, so let's proceed. The next slide is talking about public folder migration. Public folder. So the question again is, what is public folder? What is it? Public folder is going to be applicable if what you are already using is Microsoft Exchange Server, you know, before you are thinking of migrating to Exchange Online or Office 365, you are already using Exchange Server. Whether it is Exchange Server 2003, whether it is 2007, whether it is 2010, you understand, you can create public folder. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to create public folder in an Exchange class. We have Exchange with this course too as well. This course is so sweet because it's a course that combines like four different solutions together. So it's like getting an advantage of doing 4 courses in 1 course. How cool is that? So you can later on even start to dig up on your own. Okay, I want to even know about Exchange. You have the basic already from Office 365 class. Okay, I want to learn about SharePoint, but you have the basics already to build upon from your Office 365 class. Teams, I want to learn about it. You have the basics here. So this course is like 4 courses in 1, right? So next class, I guarantee we're going to be really getting our hands dirty with Exchange stuff. We'll do some today before we call it a class. Today we're going to see some Exchange demo, at least do a few things on Exchange. So what is public folder? Public folder is a tool that comes with the Exchange server that acts as a dumping ground for all of your stuffs. You know, if you have a public folder, when I create a public folder, I can email enable the public folder such that people can send email to the public folder. So you see, I can send an email to a public folder. That's not all that I can do. If I want, I can send that email. When I'm sending the email, I can attach something, maybe a document. I can attach executable files. I can, anything at all that I want to keep, I can keep dumping them inside a public folder. So that's what a public folder is. And you can assign permissions to your public folder. So it does not mean that when you create a public folder, every Dick and Harry can have access to the public folder. No. So you can define who is going to have access to this public folder and who will not be able to have access to the public folder. What users can do when they access the public folder. Do they have write permission? Do they have contribute rights? Do they have read-only access? So you can define all those rubber meets the road permissions with public folder. So that's what a public folder is. So if what you already have in your workplace, what you have present right now is public folder, then you need to think about it too. So how do I migrate this public folder to my Exchange Online? How do I migrate it to O365? So good news is that also in O365, you can still set up public folders and you can migrate public folders. You get the picture. So that's it. So Exchange Online migration planning factors. I've, in a way talked about some of this, but let me just quickly walk through them. What are those things that you need to prepare for, plan for when you are going to be migrating to your Exchange Online? Exchange Online, we know it to be one of the services of O365, right? So what are the things to plan for? One is ask yourself, what is the current email system we're using? That's one. What is the number of users we have? That will determine whether to do cutover migration or to do stage migration. You get the picture. So what is the access mechanism? How do users access their email? What features do they turn on? Do they use OWA? Do they use, so just learn about those features. How about the volume of their email? That's the data that they have, each user have in their mailbox. You need to think about that too as well. If it's an environment where people have huge amount of data, their email is so huge, just run it into terabytes. It's possible. Some environments, you have one user using more than 100 gig. You have assigned 100 gig, to one user. So I've come across people, that Office 365, by the way, Office 365, each user will have 100 gig, of email. That's your mailbox, you'll be able to do 100 gig. If you feel 100 gig is not enough, you have archive mailbox, another 100 gig. So that's 200 gig. And somebody once complained to me that in the environment, that 100 gig is not enough for some of their users. They run it out in 1 week. Imagine, email. Somebody is doing email and is running out 100 gig in 1 week. That's super flawless, you know. So you need to also plan for that. What is the volume of email, right? So that will also tell on how to beef up your internet. So if you have huge amount of email, then it means that your internet needs to be super fast, extra fast, you know, to be able to do migration of those email to O365. So these are some of your planning considerations, some of the things you need to consider. So I've talked about this, but this is a flow chart that is showing. So don't worry, I'll just put this in the chat group so you can look through them. There are things that I've talked about, so you just look through them again to reiterate what I've said. It's asking. In fact, this flow chart is very important, right? It's important. I must share it. If I forget, please remind me to share it on the group. It's important to the degree that if you know this flow chart, in fact, if you just keep this flow chart as you just put it in your bag, just print it out, put it in your bag. It makes you an Exchange consultant, an Office 365 consultant. You can become an Exchange Online consultant with this flow chart. Because if you take it to people, just learn about Office 365, all the features that Office 365 offers, and you start going to people, you're doing marketing yourself. Please do Office 365, do Office 365. Once they ask you questions, you can answer it with this chat. So you say, what is your current email, sir? So once they tell you, oh, we're using Exchange Server, okay, you ask them, what version of Exchange Server, sir? 2003. Is there any need for long-time mail coexistence? Yes. So you say, okay, if there's long-time coexistence, then I will recommend hybrid for you, sir. But if there's no long-time coexistence, no. You ask, how many users do you have, sir? We say, oh, we have 2,000 users or more. You say, okay, if you have 2,000 users or more, is it Exchange 2013 or Exchange 2000? You get the picture. So it will determine whether you're doing hybrid or whether you are doing stage or IMAP migration. Is it less than 2,000? Oh, if it's less than 2,000, don't worry, sir. We'll just do a cutover migration. We'll find one day when we have a long holiday, maybe 3 days, 4 days holiday from Friday, we can do a cutover, sir. So you ask again, how does your client connect? Is it by IMAP or by POP? You can see. So with this flow chart, you can become a master. They will just start looking at you as if you are the master of Exchange migration with this flow chart. So it's something that is important for you to look at, but I've explained it before, so let's move on. Please, if I forget, I might forget. If I forget, just kindly remind me. If I don't post it by tomorrow, just remind me. Okay, so this is the end of this particular module. So the exercise here is configure an Exchange server for cutover migration. I will show you how to do this. I'll show you the process of doing it, right? And I'll show you how to do this. But before I show you how to do this, let's complete our demo on the domain controller thing that we were doing earlier. So we're digressing again a little. So if you can see my VM, the domain controller is ready now, so I can log into the domain controller now. Perfect. So now we have a domain controller. How do we know that we have a domain controller? The way you know that you have a domain controller is to click on Server Manager, please. So the Server Manager is loading. So let's wait for the Server Manager to load. Okay, so the Server Manager is loading right now. So if I click on Tools from the Server Manager, so you can see all these different tools. You see Active Directory, users and computer, Active Directory, site and services, Active Directory, domains and trust, Active Directory, admin center. So this shows that you have Active Directory now, right? So now we have Active Directory. Let's create some users. How about that? How about we create some users on our domain controller? You know, now that we have a domain controller, it means that nobody is going to be using their system, you know, creating accounts on their systems anymore. No. Whenever we have any system on our network, let's simulate having 20 systems on our network. All those 20 systems must be joined to the domain. And when you join them to the domain, they will not be able to log in. So before they log in, they must contact HR. HR too will contact IT. You know, so HR will tell IT, oh, we have these 20 users. They need to start using computer. Can you create accounts for them, please? So how do we create account for them? You come to Tool, and you come to Active Directory, Users and Computers. So I'm going to click Active Directory, Users and Computers. So you see, I will expand my domain. So I can start creating my users. I can start creating my users here. All these are called. Sorry? Okay. So let's create, let me create an OU. Don't worry, this is out of scope. This is not Office 365, but what a good, add-on that if you don't know this already, it's good. It's good to be able to do this. So I'll just quickly create an OU, Let me call this OU, how about I call it, let me just call it Kazim. No, how about I call it icon? Icons users. How about that? Icons users. So inside icon users, I want to create three users. So to create a user, you see this user icon, or just right click on the OU and do new user. So I want to start creating my user. My first user, my friend, let me create I have Muri Sikun Sekinatu. All right, so Muri Sikun login name is Muri Sikun .sekinatu at iconsystem.com. So I will next, and I will give Muri Sikun a password. Yes, it's good that Muri Sikun should be able to change, his password or her password when next she's logging in. So that's perfect. So let's create two more. So we will create my other good friend, John Doe. John.Doe. And the password of John Doe, you get the picture. And one more. So how about we do Abdul? Okay, people will say, like some people in Lagos, their name is Abdullah, but they don't like to call themselves Abdullah. They like abbreviating their names. They'll just say, no, don't call me Abdullah, call me Dula, Dula. So we'll make him Dula. Okay, Dula, it is. So Dula is the first name, and his surname is Malik. So Dula Malik. And when you ask him, why not? I said, no, I just like Dula. Dula. So Dula Malik.
Okay, Mr. Kazim, quick one,
Yes,
please.
sir. Yes.
Okay, can you please go back a little bit, like before you enter the password?
Okay.
Okay, sorry, 1 minute. Now, you know where we have at iconsystems.com,
Yes.
there is a space for a down arrow that
Okay.
indicate that you can have a multiple
Domain name.
domain name. Yes.
Okay.
So how can we have this? How can we add the second domain name if you
Okay.
want to add second
Why
domain
do
name?
you want to add a second domain name, sir?
For instance, now in animal care, we know we have some people that are using at animalcare.com, and we also have a sister company called
Okay.
FortunaNG.com. So some people are placed under FortunaNG.com,
Okay.
while some people are animal care.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I get the picture. I'll just quickly show you. And I'm wondering, Mr. Watson, how about if we do a course and the course attracts a lot of users and some of them are interested in doing IT in your place, will you be willing to accept IT students?
So I didn't get your question, sir.
No, I'm saying if we do a course sometimes and some people are willing to come for IT in your place, will you be willing to accept IT students in your place, sir?
Definitely, we do accept IT students.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
we do
so
accept.
I'm just asking. Okay, so let me show you how do we add. So this place we can see Fortuna.com. Okay, let me show you that real quick. So I'll cancel this. Let me cancel. Come back to my server manager. Click on tools. From tools, you see we have these Active Directory domains and trusts. So I'm going to click on it. Click on the domains and trusts. I will come to properties of my domain. You see my domain here. Come to its properties and no, not here. So let me, it's here. Properties of this Active Directory domains and trusts itself. Properties, yes. Properties of the Active Directory domains and trusts. So when you have UPN suffix, I'll just type it in there. So my sister company is the water company, right?
Yeah, the water company,
Okay, how
Fortuna.
do you spell the Fortuna again? I've forgotten. Fortuna.
FUNTUNT, yes.com. Fortuna.
.com. Okay, good. So let me even add my name, Kazim.com. All right, apply. Okay, so that's where you add it, right? So I can close it now. Let me
Okay.
go back to Active Directory domains and trust. Or, I mean, Active Directory users and computers. I think they call it. So I want to create a new user now. So we said the username is Dula Malik, but Dula Malik is not okay. Dula dot Malik. His domain name is not icon system, but it's Fortuna. So let's check. You see,
Okay, great.
it's perfect, right?
Perfect.
Okay.
Great.
So that is where we do it from. So
Okay.
we are going to next and password. And we've created users. So you see now that we've created our users. So QED, you know, like the people used to say, those mathematics, they'll say, what's that QED again? Quad erat.
Question is legal.
Ah, okay, perfect. So, Mr. Said, are you good now with how to set up domain controller?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's how to set up a domain controller. Next is the stuff that I also have pending. Let me show that to you real quick. How do we set up Office telemetry? So we know about Office telemetry already. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it up right now. We said to set up Office telemetry, you need to have a SQL server, and then you need to have some other components. So you choose which server is going to be your telemetry server. So in a nutshell, let me just reiterate. Office telemetry is meant for gathering statistics. So if you want to do inventory of how many people is using Office in the environment, which version of Office are they using? Is it 2003, 2007, 2016, 2024? How many user is using it? When was the last time they used Office? Which tool, which part of the Office package are they using? So telemetry is your good friend, right? So how do we set it up? Choose a telemetry server. Make sure that you have SQL Server installed. It doesn't matter whether you have SQL Express or SQL full-blown edition. So any one of the SQL edition will serve the purpose. So I've installed SQL Server on this system, right? So what I will look for is I will click Start and type telemetry. Telemetry. So you see, if you have Office installed on that your telemetry server, you should be able to find this thing there, this telemetry dashboard. Telemetry dashboard should show up. If it does not show up, then you don't have Office installed on the system. So I have Office installed on this system right now. So I'm going to click on telemetry dashboard. Let's click on it and see what we get. Awesome. You see, this is the telemetry dashboard. It looks like we're having an Excel spreadsheet here, but this Excel spreadsheet is what we need to set up telemetry, right? So I'm going to click on let's. Okay, so I'm going to click on let's get started. Let's get started. You see, so clicking on let's get started will tell me all the process, all the step of setting up Office telemetry. We can all see this, right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So step number one, it seems some people are sleeping now. I've not been hearing from some people since.
I can see
Mr.
it.
Monday, are you here? Mr. Victor?
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
I'm here, sir.
perfect. Malam Idris, are you here? Ah, Malam Idris has. Okay. Okay. So just Mr. Said, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And Mr. Batunde, you are here, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I can. You've been very active. Okay. All right. So just Malam Idris is not. Okay. So let's proceed. Set up prerequisites. Step one. That's step number one. I'll just click. So let's see the prerequisite. You see, the prerequisite is for us to download and install Microsoft SQL Server Express Edition. That's the bare minimum. So, but we've done that. I've done that already. I told you I've done that one. So if you have not done it, you can just, if you have internet access on the box and you don't have a SQL server, you can also download it from this link. So step number 1 is done deal. Step number 2, install the telemetry processor. So the telemetry processor is the big deal. It's the one that is responsible for doing all of the dirty works. You know, the telemetry processor, how it works, it needs to connect to the agent. You know, it needs to connect to the agent on the client. There's this agent that needs to be installed on all the machines that you want to monitor or that you want to gather statistics from. So the telemetry processor will connect to them, get all the necessary information, and we need to create a shared folder where it's going to dump all the information, process it, and put it into the database. See, that's how it works. So what is responsible for doing that? Getting all the information, putting it inside the shared folder, putting it inside the database so that we can view the result. It's the processor. So this processor we need to install, right? So you can choose to either install 64-bit or 32-bit, anyone that floats your boat. So I'll go with either one. So I'll just click. So you don't need to have internet access, by the way, to install this telemetry processor, right? So I'll just save it. Let me save it. So I've saved it on my system. Let me quickly install that one now. It's downloaded into my, I think it should be documents. Yeah, document folder. This is it here. So I'll just quickly do an install. So I'm running a 64-bit server. So it's telling me 32-bit not supported. So let me download the 64-bit edition of the processor. So I have 64-bit now. So I'll run the 64 bits. Okay. So it's asking me, do you want to run the wizard now? Yes, I want to run the wizard now. So I'm just going to click finish, making sure that this thing is checked. So let's finish. Okay, so while we wait for it to come up, or we can just continue. Let's continue. So we've downloaded and installed the telemetry processor. How about the telemetry agent? So the telemetry agent, you know, the agents, you need to have them on all the systems you want to monitor. So if you have 200 systems on your network, you need to make sure that you download this stuff, and install it on all the 200 systems. How will you install? Are you going to be installing one by one? Of course not. So you can use group policy to do the install. Use group policy to do the install. So maybe your leisure time, you can try to look it up. Sorry, the session again will disconnect in less than 1 minute. If it disconnects, please reconnect back so we can wrap this thing up. So if you have Office 2013 and above, you don't have to worry. It means that our telemetry agent is already going to be on those systems. So if you know that we use Office 2013 and above, don't worry, telemetry agent is already there. But if you're using 2003, 2007, 2010, then you need to install telemetry agent on those systems. So that's step number 3. Let's move to step number 4, shall we? So we want to configure the telemetry agent. So don't worry about configuring it, it's fine. So next, step